Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat, and just like I've been doing for the past few days, it's almost like a daily royal roundup. There has been, again, lots and lots and lots of royal news. Today is Sunday the 26th of January 2020. Can you believe how quick the month has actually gone? Not long until we will be in February, my goodness. Hopefully lots of people can make the live chat. If I share any links in the live chat tonight, I will of course be popping them in the description box if you're watching on catch up. I will also do the timestamp thing again, because I've been doing timestamps in the description of the different stories, so that if you want to go to a particular story, you can find it really easily and just skip to that point in the video. I'm hoping that is working out really well for you. I have had some feedback that that's gone quite well, so if you like it, do let me know. If you've had any issues or problems with it, again, do let me know. I will start at the top of this chat by saying to anybody who celebrates Australia Day, happy Australia Day to you. The royals have of course been mentioning Australia Day today, and pretty much all of them have sent out messages on their social media accounts. Right, like I say, I'm going to divide this video into lots of different stories. We have quite a few to cover, but it's almost like two halves. So the first half is going to be royal stories. The second half is still royals, but it's going to be more Harry and Meghan, because as we know, on a Sunday there are more royal stories than normal, because the British tabloids like to save stories for their Sunday publications, either online or in physical print. This week is no exception. There are a slew of Harry and Meghan stories, as you can imagine. We'll be working our way through them. Some of them are like completely horrendous, and I will try and dissect them for you and work our way through. There has been lots of Harry and Meghan speculation. Again, I think most of it is just to kind of create a story for the Sunday papers. But we will be kind of going through them. And again, I will timestamp each story as we work our way through. But right now, we're going to start with the Queen, who has been out, as she always is, for church at Sandringham. And today, she was with Princess Anne. So let me make a note of the time. 2:50 for that one. Would help if I had my pen out, wouldn't it? Right, I am going to share a link because there are some photographs. I will also find the chat room as well. That would help, wouldn't it? There we go. Right, I do hope you've had a wonderful Sunday too, wherever you are in the world. And I know that this channel really is truly international now. We have viewers in our community from all over the world. I am wearing the Australian wattle brooch, which is a replica of the Queen's. Can you see? It is gorgeous. And I'm wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara as well. Right, I can see all of you in the live chat. I'm now going to share that link of the Queen at church, so you can follow along. I will pop that link into the description as well. Right, there's the link. Hello to everyone. I can see you all in the chat. Right, let's go through. So, we know that the Queen was seen driving after her recent cold. So she missed her engagement, her annual engagement at the Women's Institute, but she was seen driving, which obviously showed that she was recovering, and now she is seen at church. Now, I need to refresh, actually, my screen because the photographs haven't loaded. So I'm just waiting for it to refresh so I can actually see the photographs. Are they? Yeah, here they are. Right, so the Queen is wearing orange. Now, those of you who remember my very early live chats will know that I once requested like a burnt orange, and I was hoping that Angela Kelly was watching. Maybe 2 years later, maybe she caught that video. Anyway, the Queen is in the sort of orange that I wanted today. Now, she is wearing a fur hat. I know that from reading Angela Kelly's book. Angela Kelly is the Queen's dresser and curator, basically personal assistant as well. And she specified in the book that from 2019 onwards, any new fur that the Queen wears is going to be faux fur Also, she has stipulated that slowly they are going to be removing any fur trims from the Queen's clothes and replacing it with faux. So, I am not entirely sure 100% whether this hat is faux fur or not that she's wearing. It could be a new piece that is faux, or it could be an older piece that is going to be phased out. But I would probably say that this hat is faux. Going forwards, Angela Kelly and the Queen, obviously the Queen's in agreement that that they're going to make that transition from real fur to faux fur. So I'm imagining that one is faux, but I don't think I have any actual details on that in the article. The Queen is looking healthy and happy. She was at church with Princess Anne. I can't necessarily see. I mean, there is a small gathering of royals, but the lady in the car with the Queen is actually a very famous opera singer. Now, let me get the name right. So the opera singer is Dame Kiri Jeanette Clare Tukanawa. And hopefully I got that name correct. I know my pronunciation is probably appalling, but she was joined by the famous opera singer in the car. Princess Anne walked the short journey with a small gathering as well. Yeah, Princess Anne looked happy and healthy too. Oh, actually, Anne was with Formula One racing driver Sir Jackie Stewart. Former, I should say. Former Formula One racing driver Sir Jackie Stewart. And yeah, Princess Anne looks happy, healthy, wearing a heel feather in her hat. The Queen looks like she's chatting very, very nicely to her companion. Obviously, the Queen does have guests. Once the main bulk of the royal family have finished visiting over the festive Christmas period, of course, the Queen is still on her festive break. She does invite guests to Sandringham. So obviously this is one of the guests that she has invited. The Queen still hopping in and out of vehicles, like the sprightly goddess that she is, of course. And yeah, everyone looks very, very happy and healthy. There are well-wishers lining as well. So yes, let me know what you all think about that. Judith says, Dame Kiri sang at Diana and Charles's wedding. Indeed. Lady Wingham says, would the singer be staying with her? I imagine so. I imagine she would be one of the guests. I think it's almost pretty safe to say that if she's travelled with the Queen in the car, that she is probably one of the guests that is staying at Sandringham. One of the personal invitations. Leanne loves her in that red-orange colour. Lots of people saying that it's cold where they are. It's been very cloudy here in the UK. Right. Let's have a look. Right, I'm going to move on to the next story because we have quite a lot to get through. Right, timestamp is 8:25 for the next story. There we go. Sorry it takes a few seconds to write them down, but there we go. Right, I'm now going to be tackling the next story. I don't think I need to share the link, but I can just kind of use this story to reference. There has been talk in the papers, in the press, about Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, stepping up to kind of fill the void that Harry and Meghan have left since they stepped back as senior royals. Now, we touched on this in yesterday's live chat. Someone actually made this point in one of the comments. They said, will somebody like Sophie be taking up some of the slack since Harry and Meghan have stepped back as senior royals? My answer yesterday was that I didn't really think that Sophie could necessarily take on that much more in terms of duties. We know Princess Anne is at capacity. Charles is pretty much at capacity. William and Catherine, I think, could. I think they could, although they are on their own programmes of engagements. Sophie and Edward work very, very quietly. You don't often hear lots about what they do, but they are full-time working royals. They are not part-time working royals, and they are pretty much flat out, again, with 2 teenage children. So, they have a lot on their plates already. I am sure that they will take on between them some extra duties, some patronages, but when the Queen's cousins eventually step back from their royal duties, once the Queen herself is no longer able to fulfil all of her patronages, there is going to be an enormous amount, and just one person, Sophie Wessex, is not going to be able to shoulder all of that responsibility. If all of those charities and patronages are to still have a royal patron that actually has time to dedicate to those charities, not just in name, there is going to have to be, I think, a little bit of a shift in what Charles has been reported to want in this slimmed down monarchy. I do think that Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie are going to have to be brought in. The article that I've been reading tries to use evidence such as Sophie Wessex's recent tour to Sierra Leone and recent works that she has done, saying that she has stepped up since Harry and Meghan have stepped back. I'm calling that out, and I'm calling that out as an untruth, because tours like Sierra Leone that are vitally important take months and months, 6 months, 8 months in the planning. They have to have recce visits and all kinds of things going on. These engagements, are penciled in the diary months and months and months and months prior. So the Sierra Leone tour, lots of Sophie's recent visits and tours and patronages, they will have been planned months and months in advance, way before Harry and Meghan announced that they were what they were going to do. So I'm calling that out. I don't think Sophie has been singled out by the royal family to step up and fill that void. Yes, I am sure she will take on some of extra responsibilities as and when the Queen and the Queen's cousins offload some of them, but she is not the donkey that is going to take on all of these massive charities and this massive amount of work. I do think that the royal family is going to have to open up at some point and include Beatrice and Eugenie. So I wanted to see what obviously people are saying. Of course, Reverend Darlene says, please not Andrew. Well, I hear you, but the pertinent point again that I didn't mention was obviously we have Andrew's charities as well, which, whilst he is in the position that he is in, and of course he was made to step back from his royal duties, we have all of his list of patronages which, through no fault of their own, are not having a royal spotlight shed on them. So it does make a really big difference. Really, the royal family are 3 senior royals down, and you can't put everything onto Sophie. Sophie is amazing, Sophie's wonderful, I love Sophie, but she cannot shoulder all of that burden. It's too much for one person or one couple to take. So yes, I do think that the royal family is going to have to eventually open up to Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. Right, I'm going to move on to the next story just to literally keep things flowing. We are 13:30 for the next story. Now, the next story is one that I put in the title. Of course, I can't put every single story that I talk about in the title, but I am going to talk, and now this is my take on the Prince Charles private jet story that kind of broke today. And again, I think the newspapers have saved up this story for a Sunday publication. I am going to copy and post a link because there is a diagram. I think it's the first photograph in the article. There is a diagram of Prince Charles's private jet and helicopter usage, which could be quite helpful and handy for some people to follow. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different travels and things, but I will give the gist of what the article is all about. So, we know that in the summer, the press and the newspapers made a big, massive thing about Harry and Meghan's private jet use. We've been there, we've done that, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but we know it was a fact that the newspapers made a big, big thing about Harry and Meghan's private jet use. We then know that Harry and Meghan have launched legal cases against some of those publications, including, I think, the one that I've just shared the link with about unfair treatment, and you know the story. I'm not going to get into it, but they have launched legal issues. Bear that in mind just for a moment because it is quite pertinent. So, I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of Prince Charles's travel, but I am going to say that I think this particular publication has done this because of the court cases. In the UK, you know, people are becoming a lot more eco-sensitive when it comes to things, issues of recycling, plastic bag wastage. Electric cars are becoming more popular. We are becoming more environmentally conscious. But the one thing that I haven't heard the public, you know, getting up in arms over is any sort of private jet use. The newspapers made a big, massive thing about private jet use in the summer with Harry and Meghan, but that was the newspapers. People on the ground, to be perfectly honest, didn't really care about whether Harry and Meghan were taking private jets or not. Again, people don't particularly care about Prince Charles taking private jets or not, or the whys and wherefores. On the first picture that I mentioned, it shows about empty private planes being flown. Again, in the article, there is all things about that. You know, this all of Charles's work. It wasn't for private holidays. It was for work at the request of the government. Any sort of travel, official foreign travel, is of course at the advice of the Common and Foreign Office, and also the palace look into the terms of safety. So I'm not going to get into that. And obviously, Prince Charles had to come back from one engagement to then fly on to Sandringham to deal with the Sandringham summit that was going on. So there was a lot of kind of travel arrangements there as well. But I think, going back to my earlier point, that the UK press is getting onto Charles to justify what they did in the summer with Harry and Meghan. Because as we know, this court case is coming up and these news publications are going to have to try and put up some kind of defence for their actions in what they did in the summer. So, this is my theory. I think they have latched on to Prince Charles, obviously because he then went on to, as part of his travel, he went on to Davos for the World Economic Forum where he met Greta Thunberg. He made an environmentally friendly speech in which he did actually talk about plane usage, and he did actually, I mean, one thing that Prince Charles has always said is he hasn't said don't take planes. He's never said don't take planes. You know, he knows that he takes planes, but he has always said that this is something that needs addressing. The aviation industry need to come up with some kind of cleaner way of fueling air transport, and I am sure that Prince Charles, as soon as that is available, he will take that form of transport. Anyway, back, I keep getting off the point. I think the newspapers have latched onto the Prince Charles thing to justify the Harry and Meghan private jet story, so that when it comes to the court case, they can turn around and say, look, we have been treating all the royals equally and fairly. Look what we published about Prince Charles. We also published a private jet story about Prince Charles. It wasn't just Harry and Meghan. We haven't just singled out Harry and Meghan. So if you see what I'm on about, I actually think that they are doing this with a view of presenting this as some kind of evidence when it comes to the trial with Harry and Meghan. That is what I'm thinking, or rather trial, legal action, whatever you want to call it. So that is my theory. That is what I'm thinking about. Oh, by the way, I have a donation from Cynthia who says, I agree about the York Girls, and she donated $1.99. So I will say a big thank you to you. So, mwah, to you. I also saw something else zooming up on the screen. What was it? MSNB 2012 says $9.99 US. Thank you so much to you too. Thank you for supporting the channel. Mwah. Sherry Thorne says you nailed it about the private jet stories. It will not work in court as it comes after the fact. They are still going to try and use it. You know that is why they've done that, because nobody before has ever complained about a royal's use of private jets particularly. Yes, we had the Air Miles Andy stories going on way back when, but again, that was at all work was official at the request of the British government. And he was taking a lot of flights in that role. But no, people on the whole haven't criticised Prince Charles's air travel because he hasn't actually said to anybody don't take flights, because he knows that he takes flights. So he's not going to say don't take flights, but he will say choose the most economical form of transportation that you possibly can in a situation, unless you have circumstances which dictate that you take a particular form of transportation, which will have been the case in Prince Charles's private jet use over the last couple of weeks. Right. Lots of people agreeing with the theory that I've just come up with. I think I'm pretty on the nail with that one. So I'm going to move on because I do want to keep things moving. Where is my pen? 21:05 to move on. Right, okay, we're in the Harry and Meghan section. I know we've kind of just spoken about Harry and Meghan as well, but we are in, okay, we're in the danger zone. My goodness, we are in the zone. Ugh. Right. Okay, we are in Gossip Central Zone now, so if you are sensitive to speculation and gossip, I suggest this is the point where you depart this video. That is my warning to you all. And also to help the moderators, please, once I've moved on from a story, let's change the conversation. Oh, I have a donation from Marion. $19.99 Thank you for being me. No, thank you for being you. That's amazing. Thank you. Mwah, to you. Thank you. So, the first speculation, story, whatever that I'm going to talk about is the story about, did the Queen offer Harry and Meghan freedom to live without royal titles prior to marriage? Now, again, I think pretty much all of these stories that I'm going to talk about from now on, I think they are just there to fill up the Sunday papers, to be quite honest. I think they just wanted something or a lot of stories to publish. So this one is that a source has claimed that the Queen wanted to ease Meghan's transition into the royal family by offering them the ability to not live with titles. Now, I think what they mean by not live with titles, and this is where the flaw in the story comes in, I think it refers to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles. So basically, it's saying that the Queen offered to not give them titles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex title, at marriage. Again, I'm calling this story out because it just doesn't make sense. Because even if the Queen didn't give them a ducal title, I have another donation, NRC 9.99, enjoying your channel. Thank you so much. I will give you a big golden fan flap. Mwah, thank you. Even if the Queen did not give them titles in that respect, Harry would still be HRH. So therefore, Meghan would legally be known as Her Royal Highness, the Princess Henry. Very much as the same style as Her Royal Highness the Princess Michael, because Prince Michael of Kent doesn't have a ducal title. So she would still have had a title, which kind of shoots a hole in this story before it's even got off the ground. So I'm not even going to bother reading it because it's a complete, in my eyes, load of nonsense. It is customary for the Queen to give a ducal title to a senior member of the royal family upon marriage. I don't think that was ever going to be in question. I think this is just a story designed to just fill gaps in the papers. Hardly worth mentioning at all. Becky Bryant says that Yellow Fan works so well to use for donations. Thank you so much for your kind donations. I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to move on to the next story that needs debunking. So 2436. Okay, so the next story is the papers are claiming, did Meghan leave Harry alone to face the cameras And this, of course, was referring to when he made his Centre Barley charity speech. Now, did I have a link open for this one? I think I did. Again, I'm not going to share it because it's probably not even worth sharing. But basically, it works on the speculation that the Centre Barley charity fundraiser, where Harry was going to be giving his speech at, some of the people are claiming that they were under the impression that it was going to be Harry and Meghan attending. Now, there is no proof. There is no proof that Harry and Meghan were going to attend. It's just speculation and gossip. Let me just see if I can actually find where it was. There we go. No. It just says that she was expected to be with him at the event, but it wasn't. The tickets sold out. Oh yeah, this is one of the reasons why. So they're using the fact that they sold lots of tickets and they had to move a fountain to accommodate the extra tables as speculation that Meghan might have been there. But again, nobody ever said that Meghan was going to be there. Apparently, a source said that the organisers had signed non-disclosure agreements to prevent details of the event leaking out. Again, that was not because Meghan was going to attend, it was because Harry was going to attend. Just because people have had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, it does not... Why does that mean that Meghan was going to be there? I don't really know. But basically what they're trying to say is that they're playing on that Meghan was supposed to be there, but she just dropped everything and flew off back to Canada. Again, I'm not buying that. I think it's just a story that was put out there to fill a gap in the Sunday papers. Also, the article kind of attacks Meghan by claiming that she wrote the speech that Harry delivered to make her look good and to exonerate her from the accusations that it was Meghan's decision to do all of this and then move to Canada. Again, there is no basis for this. There is no evidence for this. It's all just speculation, and I'm calling it out, to be quite honest. So there we go. Right, I'm going to move on again to the next story because all these stories are just completely rubbish. Okay, so the next bit of gossip. That Prince Charles and Prince William hope the UK can be a safe haven to Harry and Meghan, and they hope that they can return. Yeah, again, I'm not going to share the article, but I will use it for reference. So, in light of, again, this is the media trying to justify and to make money off the back of their own actions. So we know that there were paparazzi photographs taken of Meghan walking her dogs with Archie in Canada. Those were published worldwide, including in the UK media. Now, we don't know who ordered these paparazzi photographs. We don't know any details surrounding it, but we do know that Harry and Meghan issued a warning to the world media about privacy, saying that obviously if more were taken, there would be further action taken. I think the newspapers are now using what happened with the paparazzi photographs to justify the accusations that that Harry and Meghan are not going to live a more private and more quiet life in Canada as they hoped. That the UK would actually be safer and offer them more protection because in the UK, those photographs of Archie and Meghan walking the dogs wouldn't have been published. Can you see where I'm going here? It's almost like they set up their own scenario and then create another story that justifies it. Yeah, can you see where I'm going? So yeah, I mean, we know that the royal family have issued in their statement that they did not, it wasn't their wish that Harry and Meghan step back. They would have preferred Harry and Meghan to stay. So that's where they've kind of got that bit of story from. We also know that the Queen has allowed Harry and Meghan to retain Frogmore Cottage as a UK base, as a UK home. However, Harry and Meghan have voluntarily paid back the money that the Queen gave them to do up Frogmore Cottage. So, yeah, we know that they've already been offered a chance to have a home still in the UK. So again, it's just another story used to justify, I think, in this case, what happened with Harry and Meghan and the publishing of the paparazzi photographs from Canada. Are you with me on that one? Let's just see. Miriam says they know photos, articles about the Sussex family make money for them. Indeed. But I also think, like I say, some of these follow-up stories kind of justify, to them, they hope justify what they've done. And I see straight through it. So moving on to 3051. Right, this is a story again that Harry and Meghan are living on stolen land. So I've seen today, obviously all these stories came out today, Sunday. So the indigenous Canadian tribes who inhabited the land of the mansion that they are staying on Vancouver Island, are saying that their ancestors were sold this land for a few $100s, didn't know what they were signing, and then all these big massive mansions years and years, hundreds of years later, are built, and they are not happy about it. Now, this is an issue. Obviously, it is an issue about Indigenous peoples and the way that they were treated. I mean, all over the world. You can say the same thing about Indigenous people in Australia, Canada, America, all over the world. And the UK, Britain is partly to blame for some of the treatment of these Indigenous peoples hundreds of years prior. But that is one issue. This is not the channel for that. But what is the issue is that Harry and Meghan's names are being linked to it just because they are staying in a house that happens to be built on land where that happened. Yes, it is an issue, but that issue should not be parked or aimed in Harry and Meghan's direction. I do believe that is highly unfair, and I don't think that they particularly they can do anything. I think the tribe is urging that they recognise it or they talk about it, which of course would highlight what happened to those Indigenous people hundreds of years ago, which was wrong. But I don't think it's fair to link Harry and Meghan's name specifically to that. They are not the poster people for that. So yeah, I do think that article was a little bit unfair about that. Miriam says, I bet the Indigenous story is bogus, press fuel to start some nonsense. Seaside Mum says, many land claims from our Indigenous people are reclaiming their lands, like the land Harry and Meghan are staying on. One day that may happen to that land, but not now. Again, like I said, it is an issue. It is a very pertinent issue all over the world, not just there, that needs addressing. But I don't think it's fair to kind of aim that criticism at Harry and Meghan. This is not a two-people issue. This is an issue for governments in consultation with the Indigenous people. That is an issue on its own. I don't think it should be put onto Harry and Meghan, or it shouldn't be put in their lap. Let's put it that way. Apparently I have 697 people watching. Hello to you all. Right, let's move on to the next story. 3419. This is the last one. Okay, we're going to finish on a much lighter note. So, this is not a speculation story. This is a true story. I'm really happy that I can actually bring you a true story. So, as we know, there has been a surge in recent weeks for Instagram followers on the Sussex Royal and Kensington Royal Instagram accounts. Now, for about a week, I think the Sussex Royal and Kensington Royal broke the 11 million barrier, and they were pretty much even Stevens. Now, I do believe that Sussex Royal has overtaken Kensington Royal as the larger of the two Instagram accounts. When this article was published this morning at 9:52 and updated at 10:02, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had 11.1 million followers on Instagram, and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, I think, had round just over 11 million still. So they have Sussex Royal Instagram account does now currently have more followers than the Kensington Royal Instagram account. There we go. That is the news on that one. Right, I'm going to go now. I'm sorry it's been really, really quick. It is a Sunday. I've not had my evening meal yet. So I do want to go and have that. Like I say, tomorrow it's Monday. I will probably do another news royal roundup. Do let me know in the comment section. Do you like these royal roundups? Again, let me know all about if you like the timestamps, if that is working or not working for you. Becky Bryan, I'll just read one comment, says, please come back at this time when you can. So many people don't know about you, or you would have so many followers. Do I have a Twitter page? No, I don't do Twitter because Twitter is toxic. I use it to do some research, but I don't have a Twitter. I do have an Instagram. It's not particularly royal. It's just about kind of my life and that kind of thing. It's royal_reviewer on Instagram. So I don't normally push that one particularly, but if you want to follow, you can. Barbie says, reporting who is ahead and who is not on Instagram is feeding into competition rumours. I don't know. I don't necessarily see it like that. I think the two accounts are probably going to be kind of going toing and froing for a while. There may be in the future one that does, massively overtake the other. But again, I don't think it necessarily matters. All of the followers on both of the accounts ultimately, hopefully, benefits the charities, of course, which the Kensington Royal and Sussex Royal are supporting. So anything that drives traffic to either or Instagram account, I think, is beneficial to the charities and good causes which they both support. So any way that any of them can be highlighted, I think, is good. Right, okay, I am going now. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, to you all,